Good morning. Welcome to Standard 9 Ecosystems in the state of Alabama. We're going to be learning about ecosystems and their interdependence on each other, whether it be living or non-living. We're going to develop and make an eco-column. Now, this is going to be an ecosystem, but we're going to call it our eco-column. We are going to have developed this into just like it is in the world. We're divided into two major sections or separate components of the earth. And what would you think they would be? If we were going to do, how would you divide the earth? Most of you are right. We're going to divide it into land and water. We're going to develop an eco-column from our ecosystem that has land and water, living and non-living items in it. Now, there's not one living that can depend and live by itself without having some non-living components in it. The non-living doesn't do anything without helping the living. So it's an interdependence between the columns. Now, we're going to use the top part, the bottles we cut the other day, and we're going to make a terrarium. Terrarium's the top part. We're going to make an aquarium in the bottom part. So we're going to need, before we add the animals, to get our land growing so that we can get and put our animals in there. Right now, they would have nothing to eat. So what we're going to do, get your bottles and place them up here. We're going to add some abiotic items and some biotic items today. So what do you think abiotic and biotic would mean? Just think about it a minute. If the letter A in front of a word means not, and you put it in front of biotic, bio means living, that would be non-living items. So that's what we're going to start with today in our eco-column. Now, again, like I said, we were going to use the top part of the terrarium. It's the upside down. The bottom is cut out of this. And we're going to use it today to plants because this is going to be the main part of our system that does the feeding and the food. What you're going to need to do is you will need to get a screen wire. Now, this screen wire is going to act like a drain. It's going to act like what else would it be called? Think. What you would put on here if the water was going to go through. A filter. You're right on that. Now, on your bottle, if you'll notice, you're going to have threads on the top of your bottle, and then you're going to have one big lip. This big lip here is going to be important because we're going to actually put this rubber band around to attach the screen wire on it. So get the screen wire on the best you can, and you kind of have to pleat it or fold it over so that everything is in there. And then you're going to take your rubber band and put it around the lip, not the treads, the lip. So you're going to put it around there several times. If you put it on the treads, what's going to happen is when you put the soil and it gets heavy, it's going to pop this screen wire off. So you need to make sure it's on there secure. This is what you're going to have when you get finished. And you're just going to put it up here. Now that's going to serve as a filter. What's going to happen is our terrarium here is going to drain the nutrients down to the aquarium because that will supply the food and the nutrients that the fish and the snail is going to need when we build our eco-column. So in the terrarium, now let's think about this too. We're doing etymology and we take away parts. The Latin part of terra, T-E-R-R-A, means land. Terra means land. What do you think aquarium or aqua means in Latin, if we were going to take aqua out of that? You're right. Aqua means water. So we have divided our two components that we have on Earth into our eco-column, land and water. Now, you see this is kind of flimsy here, and we need to set something in here so that we can kind of take apart what we're going to do. what I want you to do is take the connector out of your bottom, and you're going to be left with the aquarium. Just for stability, we're not going to use a lot in here for the aquarium. We'll plant that another day. But what I want you to do is you have the rock that you have here, and I'm just going to bring it right over here. You're going to take, we need to make this sturdy. To do that, we need to put a weight in the bottom. Now we're going to take this rock, and we need about a cup. Now this cup is measured 8 ounces. These are about the same size, so we don't have to have 8 ounces written on here. This is just an 8-ounce cup that we would have. It's not necessary that it be exact, but just dip your cup in and get some rock. And I want you to pour it in. Now, one of the things that I don't want you to do is there's a lot of noise going on in here. Don't take it and just dip it one at a time and let these rocks just kind of be like this. It's kind of aggravating. So make sure you just dump your rock in there. That's what you'll need to do. Now that serves as enough weight that we're going to need for our terrarium. And I'm just going to go ahead and put, now remember, you fold if you put your connector in, and try to connect up and keep all the labels the same, the way they're going to do. Okay. We're just going to put this on here. We need to add what we have at the bottom of our center of our earth. We need to add the rock in, because this is at the center of our earth and underneath all of our soil. So that's what we need to do. We're going to add 1 cup of gravel in this top. So I'm going to again take 1 cup of gravel and just pour it in. Now, one of the things that I noticed, sometimes it's too high for you to work up here like this. Just get a cup and set the terrarium on this for you to work on it. Stable. Now, we've got a non-living item in here, or an abiotic item already in our aquarium, in our terrarium, excuse me, and it is the rock. We're going to add another abiotic item to our terrarium. We're going to add 2 cups, or 2 8-ounce cups of soil. Now, now's the time that if you have received soil from your state, you need to get that soil, because you're going to be using the soil from the state that you have instead of the soil that we're providing here. If something happens that you do not have enough soil, if you don't think you have enough 2 8-ounce cups of soil, then use 1 cup of this soil. It has some fertilizer in it, and we're going to put that in there first and just kind of shake it around. Now, next, if you've got 2 cups of your soil from your state, go ahead and do that. But if you do not, if you need, just make sure the top of your soil is from this other state. We're going to add 2 cups. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but we want to make sure that we just have 2 heaping cups. Okay, now what we have is our terrarium. That's the base. The 2 abiotic items we have in here right now are soil and, you guessed it, the gravel. We also use 2 other items that were considered abiotic. Does anybody know what that is? Look at the bottom that we use for the filter. We use the screen wire and the rubber band. Okay. Now what we have is our terrarium part, and it's actually just going to go up here when we get ready, but right now we don't want to do that. It's lower and it helps us to do this. We're going to develop, and we want to make our plant, our seeds right now, because we want them to germinate. Germination is one of the words that you're going to learn this year if you haven't already learned that in 3rd or 4th grade. You may even learned it in 2nd when we started planting seeds. Now, you need to divide this. We're going to plant 3 types of seeds. One is a rye seed. It's a little bit larger seed. I don't know if you can see it with me having it here, but it's a little bit larger seed here, kind of tan. We're going to plant mustard seed, and they're really little. And I always like to remember, if you read the Bible and if you're in there, that God said if you had the faith of a mustard seed, and look how small these mustard seeds are, you could move a mountain. Every time I see a mustard seed, that's what I think of. And then there's alfalfa seeds. Alfalfa seeds are the fastest growing item that you'll have. It can grow up to 15 feet in one day with good soil. And they're sort of a pinkish color that we have on there. Now, to do this and to know which one it is that we planted, we need to mark our bottles. But first what I want you to do is take 2 toothpicks. These again, Abiotic. And you are going to create an X in this. And if you look up here on the board, if you are looking down from the top, if this is your top, you're going to place 1 toothpick here and 1 toothpick there. So you're going to kind of make a cross in that, just a cross. Now each one of these are divided now into quadrants. The quadrants, we're going to have how many quadrants if you're looking down through there? You guessed it, there's 4. Now we only have 3 seeds to plant, but we're going to use one of our quadrants to put some dead leaves in, because that's what the roly-poly is going to like to be in. So we want to use that section, so don't use that quadrant. We need to label 3 quadrants. Now you're going to label them A for alfalfa, R for rye, and M for mustard. So I'm going to look down in here, and I'm going to kind of look at my divisions here, the way I've got them down here. And do not use the one with the label on it here. Don't try to mark over that, because it's going to be harder for you to see and to view later on as we observe it. And this quadrant, I'm going to put on there with a Sharpie an A. A is for alfalfa seeds. So in this quadrant here, I'm going to plant alfalfa seeds. The one right next to it, I'm going to put R. The R is going to stand for rye seeds. So when I'm looking at this part, I'm going to know that this is the rye seed that's growing, because they're all going to have different stems and leaves. You guessed it, the next section is M for mustard seed. And it's too much to write on here because we want to observe, so we're just putting the initials on here. It doesn't matter which one you plant in which way. I just planted it A, R, M, alfalfa, rye, and mustard, but you may put it in any quadrant. Now this 4th quadrant, remember I told you we're going to keep it free, because we're going to put some sticks and some dead leaves in there, because that's what we're going to add some animals in here. And when we add the animal in here, they're going to need some dead leaves and dead leaves and sticks in there to chew on. So now what we have here is our garden space ready to go. Now you want to plant about 30-35 seeds. You don't want to get them too thick, but at the same time you don't want to get them where they're very thin and you don't have enough to grow. Now this is a very small spoon. I'm just going to take my A for alfalfa, and I'm going to get a little spoonful. Now this is a very small spoon, and I'm going to spread it over the A. Now I want to make sure that I don't get these anywhere else but in the A. Now I'm going to cover that with soil in a minute, but I'm just going to put those on there for right now. The next one I'm going to get is R. This is the rye seed. It's a little bit different looking. I'm going to plant it where the quadrant of R is. One thing that I want you to do too is make sure you plant the seeds, some of them around the edge here, because I want you to see the root system when they start growing down here. So make sure you get some of the seeds down here, just on the side here, that you can see them start growing, because the root system will go down through here. Okay. Now I'm going to get the small mustard seed. And I'm going to put that in the M section. It gets kind of hard there trying to stay within the little quadrants that you're going to be in. Make sure you get them on the side. Now, some people like to take their pencil, because you can't really poke it down there, and kind of spread it out like that, and you certainly can do that. We don't want to plant them too deep, because that won't work. So what I like to do is just get a little bit of soil, not a lot, just a little soil, and kind of sprinkle over. You're going to sprinkle over the toothpick, you're going to sprinkle over the seeds, and then that way you will make sure that everything is covered. I'm going to take over. Now, you've got a pipette in front of you, but do not use this pipette to push down in here because we have to get water out of here. And if the soil gets stuck up in here, then of course we can't use it as a pipette. So I'm going to take the pencil and just kind of spread out. Make sure I do not see any seeds that's on here. And I cannot see my toothpicks at this time. So the only thing that I know where it is now is under the A, the R, and the M. Now I have one living item in here. Who knows what the biotic item is, or the living items that we have in here? You guessed it, seeds. Well, you're good today. We have several abiotic items. The seeds have to be dark, moist, and at a time need light, but not right now. They need to be dark and moist to be able to germinate, to be able to drop the seed coat. The seed is actually inside this little seed coat here. Now, what we have is our terrarium. That would seem pretty easy, like we planted. So we have it in here. Now, I'm going to put, again, and you can put it up here or you can put it on the bottom here if you need to. Get these out of the way. I need to water it, since to germinate, to get these seeds to drop their seed coat and to get ready for the next stage to be able to grow, they need to be moist. Now, the thing about it is, we need to keep a count of how many dropperfuls that it takes for this water to go through the soil, through the abiotic rock, and down through the filter and drop into here, into the aquarium. We want to make sure that it drops because we want to get it saturated. That's how we know it's saturated. So what we're going to pretend like in our ecosystem that it's going to rain. But you need to be very aware of trying to count while you're doing this and to see how many dropperfuls it takes. Now we're using, again, a little plastic dropper or pipette and a beaker of water. This is just regular water that I have here, just regular tap water. Now to get the water in the pipette, you do one thing. You place the pipette in the water, squeeze the top bubble at the top, and then let go. Now it will not all come to the top every time, and it will not be the same, but so we're going to try to be as precise as we can on this. And we're going to make it rain in our ecosystem. So what I'm going to do is equally rain. That was one dropper full. Make it rain equally over that. That was 2 dropperfuls. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That was a little drizzle. I don't want to give it away and tell you exactly how many dropperfuls it's going to take for yours to come all the way through. So right now, what I want you to do is to get your calendar out. It should look like this. Your calendar is going to be where you're going to keep up with the growth record every day when you come in. You're also going to keep up with the amount of water that you're going to be using. So what I want you to do is to take it, it says day 1. What did you do on day 1? This is day 1. You planted alfalfa, rye, and mustard. Yes, you can put ARM because that's what you planted. Now if you'll notice, there's another row at the bottom here, and on this bottom row is going to be for the water that we're going to have, or the rain, or the condensation that we're going to count. So if you'll put ARM up here, and we're going to put droppers down here. Now, just as an example, this is what we're going to do. This one has, I don't want you to see exactly how many dropperfuls it is on here, but this is what we did. So on yours right now, take out in day 1 and put down A for alfalfa that you planted, R, rye that you planted that, and the mustard seed, and that you planted that. Right up under that, you're going to put water that you're going to add, and it's going to be dropper fulls. Now, I do not want you to take and count water drops. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't want you to do that. It's dropper fulls. So, if I'm going to push it down in here again in water, and we're going to plant water dropper fulls. Now, what I want you to do on there is today to estimate or guesstimate how many dropper fulls that it's going to take for your ecosystem to drop or drain water. Now, when you drop your water and put it up here and you count, of course I've got 10 a while ago and just put another 11 through there. So I have 11 in there and it hasn't started to drop at the bottom. The water will start to come out at the very bottom down here in this system, in our filter system, and it will drip down to the aquarium. We're going to watch this each day as we're doing that, and that is all for our terrarium today that we're going to need. Now, one thing that you're going to need is to keep the top of your, where you cut it off, and you've kept that right now. But if we put that on top of here right now as a cap that we're going to need to take it home with and to keep the cricket in there, it's going to smother and not get any oxygen and gases in here that it needs to live. Another abiotic factor. So what we're going to do is we are going to take this top, and you can take it home and have Dad to drill holes in it, or you can take a tack and put a lot of holes in this that you can have it. We're going to eventually tape it on here for us to take home and to keep the cricket in, because you know that they jump. And then we will add in here with our 3 biotic items, alfalfa, mustard, and rye seed, we're going to add a cricket or 2 and 2 roly-polies. We're also going to put a worm on there, in there, for it can be a scavenger. Ooh, new word. What's a scavenger? Which ones are consumers and producers? What else? Germination, another word. What do you think that's going to take for these seeds to grow? We've already had to use several abiotic items. Is it another biotic item that we need to make it grow? What do crickets eat? What do you want to feed, or what do you want to feed your roly-poly? Or pill bug, as you say. Or worm, as we put in here. All of that's going to go in here and going to take care of the soil just like we do on our land. Now, of course, this is a lot smaller feature that we have outside, but it does the same representation that we have in there. Now, what we're going to do today, we've got this done. You have, and you're going to record your plant growth in here, and that should pretty well take care of this lesson today. Now, you've also, I want you to be thinking about what do plants need to live? What do animals need to live? So what are we going to put in here to sustain a balanced ecosystem? What would throw the ecosystem off, or this eco column off? You probably said rain. I think I heard somebody say that. You're right. Is the cricket a consumer or producer? What about the alfalfa? Consumer or producer? Can you name 3 abiotic items that's right now in your terrarium? Can you name 3 biotic items in your aquarium? That's one of the questions of some of those that you're going to have to answer on the test. One of the things also that I want to know is, I want you to know, is the relationship between the abiotic and biotic features. When you go outside today, I want you to look at and name the biotic items and the abiotic items. How does abiotic items divide up? How do you divide the biotic items up? There's different methods and different ways that scientists use that we're going to research and to dig in to find these answers. And you probably already know most of them, but we're just going to bring it to light for you. No organism on earth can live isolated or independent from each other. this is a community here. As we learned about the community that we had, as you learned the difference between a community, an ecosystem, and a population. Now, we're going to talk about that as well. This whole item is an ecosystem. This is going to be a community, and this will be a community down here of water animals. Now, I know you're wondering about this down here. They will also have a plant that you will have down here that we will put in a water plant in our water for our fish to be in. And we'll put they're usually guppies or mosquito fish that we put in here that you can have that will live off here. You will not even have to add any food in here as long as you keep your plants living and the water coming down. All the nutrients will come down and they'll get that from the soil. Okay. Now, if you would take everything back and put it on your tray, clean up your area around yourself that you have. There should be some diaper wipes around that you clean your area up. And your eco column that you're going to have, you're going to be directed to one place to put those. We're actually going to take them back to our classroom so we can observe them every day. Now, again, record your items. You may stop and start the tape anytime you want to make sure that you have this all correct. This is your project, your ecosystem. Think about a name for your ecosystem. Most of them have city names. Some of them have community names. Think what you could call it. That'll see you next time when we name our eco column and find out. And tomorrow, see about, is it growing any? Did it germinate overnight? Does it need more water? A few things to keep you with. Thank you. Clean up. Enjoyed you today. Any suggestions that you'd like for the next video, please email me. Thank you.